Hello and welcome to Eternal Durdles. I'm your host, Zach Clark, and with me as always, Phil Bleckman. Phil, how's it going, man?
Bro, it's so good. I'm ready to talk about Streets of New Capenna. I've been so hyped for this set.
I am hyped for this set. This is how hype I am. I'm on that Mountain Dew kick right now. It's dew time.
Dude, everything about Streets of New Capenna, the style, everything about it when they announced it, first off, when they were like, here's what's going on throughout the year, I've been so hyped for it the whole way through. Everything about it, the style, the idea that there's just crime families in a world of magic. I don't know why, but like this is the antithesis to people who don't like when we go into like modern environments in magic.
Yeah,
I love Streets. I'm so for it. I'm so here for it.
Phil, is your favorite book The Great Gatsby or is it Atlas Shrugged?
You know, I know that like this set is very much like Great Gatsby inspired, and when it was first spoiled to like what it was going to be, like the genre that it was going to be in, I didn't even put it on Great Gatsby at first. I put it on like old film noir, like detective.
Yeah, well, yeah, like, definitely. I mean, it's got that whole what's that? Rosebud. That whole thing. I can't remember the name of the movie off the top of my head.
Yeah. Like now that we're seeing more of what the style is, it's very much Great Gatsby-esque. It's like way more in that vein.
Yeah.
But when it was first shared, I was like, oh, this is gonna be like, you know, we're gonna get like a cool crime fighting detective planeswalker who's gonna like try and stop all these demon family. I don't know. I regardless of what it is now, we're already seeing some charms. We're gonna talk about them.
Yeah.
And MaRo's teaser today. And I'm so hyped for this set.
I guess we've already had our film noir Jace, right? That was in the detective set. Whatever.
Oh yeah, he was in
Strads.
Eldritch Moon. Yeah.
Anyhow, yeah. So let's talk about. So let's start with the charms. We've got 3 so far. We're recording on Wednesday, so I'm sure Thursday and Friday we're gonna get the other 2 charms are gonna happen. So
one thing that we do know already is from the lands, they've already spoiled the rest of the Triome cycle, even though now half the cycle is Triomes and half isn't labeled Triomes, but it's 3 colored lands that all have the basic land types with cycling 3. But in each one of them, it's essentially like the guild leaders of the crime families. So each crime family has its own leader, which is functionally like the guild leaders. And we know the names of them because they're all named in their land. So it's Spara, Jetmir, Zeatora, Xander, and Rafine. So those are going to be legendary creatures that we know about, and we know some of them. So when we get into MaRo Spoiler for like new creature types, I think at least one of them is one of these guild leaders.
Probably, yeah. A thing to note about your MTG finance moment right now. Also, like the tri-lands we got in I can't remember the name of the set. Ikoria. Yeah. Also, like the tri-lands we got in Ikoria. We're also going to probably not see these reprinted anytime soon afterwards because they are kind of linked by name to the place that they're at, unless we start doing reprints with different names. The Godzilla cards had, right?
I think you're right. Yeah. I mean, one thing about it though is like, if you play any of the Eternal formats, like just get your versions of all these cards. If you play these color combinations, we've seen the Triomes have shown up a bunch in Modern, just because they're fetchable. But then even the 4-color control decks in Legacy have played 1 to 2 of these types of lands before. And as if they ever start printing more things like Field of the Dead or things that care about different names or different land types, like the second we go back to Domain, and that's a version of Domain exists with a powerful enough effect, these things are going to go up, like will just go up in value in your deck. So these are the type of lands that have proven themselves to be constructed playable in some capacity. So it's just like always pick up your lands, and these are reasonable to do.
Yeah. So let's talk about the charms. On Monday, the Grixis charm was spoiled. That is Maestro Charm. Maestros Charm.
Maestros, yeah.
So that it costs Grixis, and it is look at the top 5 cards. So you're going to choose one of these. Look at the top 5 cards of your library, put one of those into your hand and the rest in the graveyard. So that's pretty cool. You can do 3 lose a target opponent. Each opponent loses 3 life, and you gain 3 life. So you get like a little what's called lightning helix effect there.
Lightning helix, yeah.
And then you get Maestros Charm deals 5 damage to target creature planeswalker. So you're getting a lot of control here as far as being able to affect the board, being able to affect your opponent, and then also being able to find the cards you need. So I don't know if this could be a one of in like a Grixis control deck, but there's definitely legs on this card.
The fail rate on this card is you get to impulse and fill up your graveyard. The downside, though, is that it costs 3 mana and War of the Spark happened. So if this shows up at all, I would be shocked. I would be, in Legacy at least, I don't think this has a home at all. I don't think it does enough. I think the each opponent loses 3 and you gain 3 is flavor text for the most part, outside of in any type of deck that would want it in Legacy at least. Dealing 5 to target creature or planeswalker, that is good. But the fact that it can't hit an Uro that's hit the table, it can't clear a Murktide, it's not going to be able to hit a Kappa Cannoneer, like all of the fat stuff that the format currently features, this can't touch those. And 3 mana to deal 5 to any of the other stuff that could otherwise be boltable. The only thing that this hits that like something like Bolt or Push couldn't unrevolted is something like Psy. But at that point, you're still trading 3 mana for 3 mana. I don't see where this would ever see play. The fail rate on it, though, is that you always get to look at the top 5 cards and replace it. So draw a card is always going to be fine. But I think as long as like Narset, Teferi, I mean, now it would be competing with Hidetsugu, who consumes all. I just don't see a 3 mana how this could ever fit. But I do like the functionality of Charms. And anytime you underrate a Charm, the fact that it has so many modes, it can do so many things, it ups the value a ton. But I don't see this one making it.
Yeah, sorry. My dog wants to hang out underneath me, and he's got to go.
Yo, let's make this a doggo stream.
Yeah, dude. I'll pop him up real fast.
Yeah, we love doggos.
Come here. Come here. There he is.
Yo, this kind of doggo content is only something that you get if you watch the YouTube vids. So if you're listening to the podcast, you're not getting this awesome doggo content.
Look at the camera, bub. There we go, right here.
He's very photogenic.
Yeah, he's a pretty good dude. All right. So, yeah. Oh, geez. It's all coming down, folks. It's all coming down. Let's pop that back up there. There we go. Okay. So, next one. Tuesday, Obscura Charm released, and Obscura Charm is, of course, Esper, and it costs Esper, and it is choose one, return target creature, target multicolored permanent with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. So you get sort of a Sun Titan-ish kind of thing there. Counter target instant or sorcery, and destroy target creature or planeswalker with mana value 3 or less.
So this is an unearth for permanent.
Yep.
Or
unearth for a multicolored permanent tapped.
For a multicolored permanent, should specify that. One thing that the only thing that this came to mind right now is, and I don't know if it would be good enough, but right now Savine's Reclamation does see play as a one of in the Jeskai Days Undoing combo deck, control combo deck, prison deck, whatever. But so this one sort of does that with Teferi Time Raveler. Like you can instant speed, just pick up a Teferi Time Raveler. So one thing that we've seen, which is kind of interesting, is Teferi Time Raveler's static ability can fuck up a lot of mechanics. Like it fucks up Cascade. You can't Miracle. Anytime there's a trigger on the stack, if somebody wants to do something in response. So the idea of recurring a Teferi at instant speed and getting the static ability immediately to turn off a bunch of things or potentially win a counter war is pretty potent. And the deck has already shown that there is space for that kind of spell. Now, this can't pick up a Narset, but you do get the added benefit of having the other 2 modes rather than being able to pick up a Narset. This is true. I think that like this one is a lot closer to me than Maestros Charm because there's already a deck that has shown that it's interested in this kind of effect. And because it's an instant, specifically because Teferi Time Raveler is fucking broken and stupid, that it might, you getting that static ability at instant speed can mess up a lot of what's going on the stack. And the timing of which can also be really clever. So I
guess you could even you could use this to really F up how a Storm deck is trying to play.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, if anybody is trying to do multiple things on the stack at any one point in time, and you can throw Maestro Charm in the middle of it and it resolves, and you just put a Teferi on the stack, and now they have to navigate something where they can't go at instant speed or they can't like hold priority and do something else.
Yeah,
you can mess them up. You know, I'm higher on this charm than I am on the other one because it has an implication that is already makes sense within Legacy's play patterns. And being able to destroy target creature or planeswalker, vice versa. If you're playing in, let's say, that mirror, then you can destroy opposing planeswalkers. The difference, though, is that deck is Jeskai. It's Jeskai because of Pyroblast. It's not Jeskai for any red spells in the main. It's essentially a blue-white deck splashing red for sideboard cards. But you could move into black and just be on this instead if you think that this would be powerful enough to do. So I'm curious about this one. I don't know where it would go outside of something like that, but if somebody cast a spell against me in Legacy, I wouldn't be as surprised as I would be about Maestros Charm.
Fair enough. So the next one I don't think we're going to be seeing in Legacy, and that
Definitely
is Cabaretti Charm. This is the Naya Charm. It costs Naya. It is choose one. It deals damage equal to the number of creatures you control to a target creature or planeswalker, or creatures you control get +1/+1 in tramples. A nice little overrun effect there. And then the other one is create 2 1/1 white citizen creature tokens. Yeah, I don't see this making it into any deck in this format. Not to mention there aren't really any Naya decks in Legacy.
Yeah, this is the one we don't really need to talk about too much because there's everything that it's doing just isn't going to make it Legacy. So yeah, on to the next one.
Yeah. So from there, so that's all we have spoiled thus far. Tomorrow will be another charm, and then Friday will be the last charm. We drop on Mondays, we record on Wednesdays, so you kind of just have to deal with that. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, when you know where it's left. Usually we're recording in the middle of the week and then releasing the following Monday. So we're missing 2 of the charms, and then we're going to miss any spoilers that happen between Wednesday, like Wednesday evening spoilers up through Monday. We're not going to know about. So
yeah, and just as a note for anybody listening or watching, we do up that, like, so when we have a spoiler season or something like that and we want to scoop something, we will go we will record the same day and drop the same day, just so that you're not getting old news by the time the thing comes around. So you'll likely see us recording on Sunday evening when spoiler season starts up.
Yeah.
So by the time you hear us on Monday, you're going to get a much better idea of what's come out. Let's talk about Mox Field. Our sponsor for this episode is Mox Field. You can check them out at moxfield.com. Mox Field is a deck building website, easily one of the all-time best deck building websites on the internet right now. A great place to share your EDH decks, an even better place to check out legacy decks. You can see in the links below. We have all of our legacy decks are up on our site. So the whole plan for that site is amazing. It just looks and feels so good. You don't need an app. You can just go onto it on Safari or on whatever your browser is on an Android. It just works so good. It's so smooth. And I don't know, man. Phil, what do you think? Mox Field, right?
Yeah, Mox Field is great. I was actually experimenting with a bunch of different ninja lists. I was like, as we were talking about deck building and like how to incorporate good foundational deck building to try new brews and like to see if they'll work. I was taking that application to ninjas, and so I was bringing up like blue-white ninjas, and I posted a blue-white ninja list that I was working on onto Mox Field. So anytime we come up with stuff like that, it's going to go on Mox Field. So you can follow us. The description is in the below for all of the links and get on it. And also, every set, MaRo will go to his Tumblr. He still has a Tumblr. That's where he answers a bunch of questions and stuff. And what he does is he always gives before a set things that players can expect to be in the new set. So he gives teasers of like different kind of mechanics that are going to show up on cards or different kind of costs that are going to go up on cards, just to like whet your appetite for things that you might see. And so one thing that we like to do every single set is go through his stuff and see if we can get close to what they're going to do based on where the game has progressed design wise, and see if there's any actual mechanics that stand out to us as things to pay attention to during spoiler season that are objectively powerful or on its face objectively powerful in Legacy. So yeah, let's dive in.
So let's talk about the first one. So first up, here are some things you can expect, he says, right?
Yeah.
So 5 mana costs using existing mana symbols that we've never used before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I read this as, so he wrote verbatim 5 mana costs using existing mana symbols that we've never used before. And the way that I interpret that immediately is he means 5 mana, so like 5 mana spells that are colored that have never like the
like
combination
black, red, green.
Right. So
Okay.
something like that, or potentially the use of hybrid mana. You know, you might see something that's like we could see them for the first time use like triple hybrid mana that you can pay any mana in those colors because you're in a crime family.
Ooh,
so maybe there's something
mana.
like
I like that.
Yeah, so moving into 3 as opposed to like generic or hybrid mana, now you can do 3 colors on the pool. I don't know how they would do that in such a tight symbol, but it's possible that they come up with something new there. Or it might just be like hybrid of 2 colors, hybrid of the other 2 colors with the main color in a crime family being used both ways, and then like the actual main 3 colors. So
so it would be like Gruul hybrid, black.
I'm saying like, so like, let's say we were in Grixis, right? Or the Grixis crime family, the Maestros. So it's like you have Grixis colors, and then the additional 2 mana are like Rakdos hybrid and Dimir hybrid.
Okay.
You know,
right.
And it's like, that's it's a 5 mana spell, but we've never seen that kind of casting cost before.
Cool.
So maybe something that's what I assume is something like this is where they're going to go with that.
Yeah. All right. One spell that costs 13 colorless and 2 black mana.
Yeah. So this is definitely going to be a spell that has some kind of cost reduction, whatever that may be.
Yeah. No, I call bullshit. It's going to just cost 13 mana.
Oh, you think it's just going to be a 15 mana spell? You think
no way.
You think Emrakul?
No way.
Emrakul moved over from the moon and is now on the streets?
It just reads win the game.
Yeah, 15 mana win the game, which is functionally what 15 mana spells do anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, my guess is that whatever the set cares about mechanically is just going to be that as a cost reduction. So if the format cares about creatures dying, it'll be like for every creature that's died, reduce this by 2 mana.
So that's a possibility. I was gonna say, well, what cost reducers does black care about? We know Delve is a black effect, right?
Delve has been in black, yeah.
I wouldn't expect Improvise or Affinity to be in black.
No, I think you could do like creatures that have died, creatures that are on the board. It could also be like number of cards in graveyard as just like
reduce this by of course.
It could be like some kind of threshold mechanic where it cares about a certain card type in the graveyard.
Yeah.
It might be spells cast this turn, you reduce it by some number. There's a lot of different ways that can go. I would be shocked if it was actual like pay 15, do something.
Yeah. All right. A mechanic we've tried to get in numerous sets finally finds a home.
What do you think?
I don't know, man. A mechanic we've tried to, is it just like we're not gonna write out Affinity like Emery?
No, they've tried, they've gotten. I'm assuming that this is a mechanic that has never seen play before.
Yeah, like riggering. No, you mean never seen play before? I don't know, man. It's just like that's a designer's wet dream. Like you did, like I'm just making up ideas at that point, you know.
Yeah, I think a mechanic that we've tried to get numerous sets finally finds a home means, or is implying that they have never actually accomplished getting this particular mechanic into a set before, and now they finally were able to do it. So yeah, I think this one's brand new. I don't think this is like,
if you read Blog Talk, maybe you've found out like through all of MaRo's like, oh, we tried to do this one set and it didn't happen. You know, like you probably know that, or like Gavin Verhey has spoiled that for someone at some point.
I expect whatever it is to be. I expect them to use Halo similarly to how they used Energy.
Oh yeah, maybe this cost reducer is the amount of Halo you have.
Yeah, I just expect them to introduce a new resource, and that resource is Halo, and it will be parasitic because they don't learn their lessons on that. I hope it's not, but I hope it's not a parasitic mechanic. I would love to see if Halo is not, but I think that this mechanic is going to be new. I don't think it's going to be like they figured out Chroma is better as Devotion or anything like a new thing, a revised mechanic. I think it's a brand new mechanic that we've never seen. And I think it'll be something that will make sense now that they have wedges and we're needed to work with that space. Okay.
So now we have a creature type theme for a draft archetype that's never been used before. Who knows?
Cephalids, let's go.
who could even know? A red creature that makes token copies of a creature you control.
Wow, Kiki Jiki all over again.
Jiki, yeah. I mean, probably not actual Kiki Jiki. A card that costs 2 white, 2 blue, 2 black, 2 green, and 2 red.
My guess is that is.
You think it's like a Nephilim?
I think it's going to be like the pro-gen of Streets of New Capenna. Like, who's the kingpin of New Capenna? Like, there are 5 crime bosses.
Progenitus?
It might be just Progenitus, yeah. Progenitus, Kingpin
Crime
of
Lord,
Capenna. Yeah, I imagine that like the tagline of whatever this card is legendary creature, insert name, Kingpin of New Capenna, and that's like that's the jam, you know. And it's this 10 mana double colored, double Wooburg, Insano.
I'm going with name is going to be Progenitus, comma, the streets have ears.
I'm going to go with Capenna, Kingpin of New Capenna.
Okay. All right. Then we've got a mechanic which first premiered in a standard legal set in the aughts and sees a return in standard.
So 2000s, early 2000s. Yeah. What was around then?
Morph.
Morph? You think they're bringing Morph back? Oh, that'd be awful. Morph is I hate Morph. Morph is so bad.
Morph is fine in draft, but like, you know, no, I don't know. An ability, a mechanic that first premiered in standard legal set in the 2000s sees I don't think that this would talk about Morph in that manner, just because like we had it in cons. So
when did Bant come? When was Shards of Alara? Shards of Alara? That was in the like
09.
07, 08, right?
Yeah, 09.
09?
So it could be Chroma.
So I think the brokers are going to get Exalted.
Okay, Exalted's a fine choice.
I think they bring Exalted back for the Bant, because the Bant already cares about +1/+, or cares about counters. We've seen from Broker's Ascendancy, which is an enchantment that gives your team +1/+1 counters. So I think if you're boosting counters on your creatures, being able to attack and give them even more power to go over the top would make sense. I'm moving in on Exalted, Zach.
Okay, Exalted. I'm gonna go with Delph.
Yeah, when has that been a problem?
Yeah. Okay. What we got here? A card mechanic that's cat and dog tokens. We already had Brando on for the dog token.
A card that makes cat and dog tokens. I don't know what it is, but I'm here for it.
Yeah, why not?
Cool.
A
cat
draft
and dog
theme,
tokens. There you go.
Here we go. A draft theme that cares about threshold in the graveyard. We had a threshold in the graveyard we haven't cared about before. That's just bad wording, MaRo.
Care about a threshold. Yeah, he's using
a threshold.
So it's not threshold.
It's definitely not threshold. They cared about threshold before.
It's maybe that
threshold is like 17, or like if you have more than 20 cards in your deck. In your library.
He specifically wrote a draft theme, so I'm guessing that they don't think that there was enough support for this for it to make it in constructed.
Yeah.
And because he said that, I assume that this is something that we're not going to have to care about.
Yep.
So yeah, if he says drafted, I mean, he also might just be wrong. Maybe he just broke something again. You know,
it's totally true. Okay. Multiple white cards capable of drawing a card each turn.
All right, so let's quickly call up Nate and get him on the line. Hey, Nate, pass it over to Nate over here for Nate's Take, the new segment called Nate's Take.
Nate's Take. No, I think that this is one of those cards. It's like
one of those cards, multiple cards, my guy,
multiple cards that are probably going to say something like, if your opponent has more cards in hand than you do, you may draw a card. You know, like it's like,
or what it's worth,
something like that.
I actually do like the idea that if they're going to start giving white the ability to draw cards, which is totally fine because every other color can do it in some capacity. So if white is going to be able to draw cards, similar to how like red gets card draw for a limited period of time, right? It's usually like exiled until end of turn and then you don't get it anymore. Black obviously trades life for cards. Green supposedly is supposed to be cards versus creatures on the table, but pretty much green just has card draw straight up. I'm okay with white having the mechanic of card draw by playing from behind. So I think if you're playing from behind on an axis, and then you can try and skew your deck to be able to benefit from getting to that point, and then you can get rewarded for by drawing some amount of cards. Yeah, I think that's a fine place for white to exist. I think
if you think about that also as like a power level thing, like if your opponent has more cards than you, really what it's saying is you're being rewarded for playing Magic more than your opponent, right? Like if you can play, like if your Death and Taxes and your opponent is on Miracles, oftentimes you're going to be drawing that card, right?
Yeah. I mean, I also think that like if there is space for them to have a condition be met, you know, like if your opponent has done something this turn and it's a very common thing, and it's a card that's like, something where it's like draw a card, but if your opponent has done something, you draw 2 instead. I think that's also fine too, where if you're trying to maneuver into a position to leverage a card, that's also fine. If white needs to have a hoop to jump through in order to get card draw without it being attached to blue or attached to another color, I think that either playing from behind or meeting a certain condition is totally reasonable.
Yeah. All right. We've got.
Hopefully it's actually just actual white cards and not like, one of the many 3-color cards that just also happens to draw a card and they're like, yeah, look, it's a white card.
All right, so now we've got, here are some rules text that will be showing up on cards. The first one is, then if you control 10 or more creatures, you may play the exiled card without paying its mana cost.
What do you think?
Is that the 10, the 13 and 2 black card? No, I don't know, man. If you control 10 or more creatures,
I think this kind of thing is shit. Anytime they're if you have an overwhelmingly winning board state, do more.
Yeah, even if it says win the game, like you're probably already going to the game, right?
Yeah. Unless there's a spell that unless there's something that's like put 5 creatures on the unless there's like
waylay,
red mana, create 5/01 creatures, sack them at the end of turn. So there's a way to spam an insane amount of creatures to try and combo out. But barring that, anytime they're like, hey, person who's already winning, want to win more,
commit more to the board. Yeah.
Do you remember when in Innistrad when they had the card that was like, if you have 7 cards in hand or more than 7 cards in hand, do more.
Yeah.
And it's like, what are you talking about? Oh, speaking of which, let's talk about Library of Alexandria.
Yeah.
Get out of here with this. If you control a winning board state, win more.
Yeah. Copy target spell you control that wasn't cast.
Yeah. So if somebody puts a spell on the stack that wasn't cast.
So if it wasn't cast yet, right? I'm assuming that the word there is yet, right?
This says no. You copy target spell.
You control that wasn't. How do you even do that?
If you put a spell on the stack that wasn't,
aren't you casting it?
No, you can put a spell on the. You can put a spell on the stack that wasn't cast.
Isn't that casting a spell? Oh, I guess it's like a copy. If a copy of a spell or something happens too.
Anything that's on the stack is a spell.
Yes, but you're technically, if it's a paper magic card, you're casting it, right? But let's say
no, you can do it. You can do something without. You can put stuff on the stack without casting it.
How?
I'm trying to think of a good example for you.
So the only thing I can think of is so let's say I have that's a bad example. Let's say I have a forked bolt, right? And it's under my Isochron Scepter, right? And I use Isochron Scepter to create a forked bolt. I'm technically not casting for forked bolt, and then I could copy it, right?
Perfect example.
Hopefully that's on a permanent of some kind. Anyhow,
it could be anything.
Yeah, who knows? All right. As an additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice a creature, discard a card, or pay 4 life. I'm interested in this because or pay 4 life sounds pretty good.
For what it's worth, we're in the streets of New Capenna where we know one of the crime families, the Maestros, are just known as the assassins, right?
Are we about to just snuff out? We might just get better snuff out with kill a planeswalker.
We got bone splinters to bone shards or whatever, and bone shards just like a strict upgrade of splinters. Yeah. This might just be a strict upgrade to snuff out.
Yeah.
Right. I don't. Now the thing is that it might have something different other than if you control a swamp. It might be something else. But I imagine that as an additional cost, sack a creature, discard a card, or play 4 life is something that they would just put on a removal spell. They've done that infinite times. Yeah. So I'm just assuming this is
not an alternate cost either. This is an additional cost. So you're paying for that spell. So it's not a strictly better snuff out because you're going to have to pay mana for it.
You're going to have to pay mana. Yeah. So I mean, I doubt that they're going to put free spells in the standard set. So, but it might just be if they are doing triple hybrid, it might be triple hybrid here. For the Maestros, between sack a creature, discard a card, or pay 4 life, that fits in Grixis creatures, Grixis colored abilities. All 3 of those are the Grixis colored abilities. So, I mean, it's possible that it might be a 1 mana removal spell that has an additional cost.
Yeah. All right.
Either way, this is potentially a powerful legacy playable spell.
Yeah. If exactly 3 colors of mana were spent to activate this ability.
Whatever that is, I assume the ability is going to be busted. Nah, it's not going to be busted, but it's going to be. Yeah, like I think that if exactly 3 colors of mana were spent to activate this ability, they have shown that they don't understand the concepts with perfect mana between fetch land, like fetch lands enabling perfect mana because they don't care about other formats.
Yeah, keep an eye on this on whatever this card is because it could be very
3 colors of mana are a lot easier to achieve than 3 colors of the same mana. So
it just comes down to what would be worth 3 mana to you? It's literally what that comes down to. If this effect is actually worth in Legacy 3 mana to you, you think that it would work in your deck, it's probably worth playing.
Yeah, I mean, it's also an if clause. So the back half could also be like, something else, if exactly 3 colors are willing to activate this ability, choose one of the following options, right? Like it could just be a recursive charm.
There's a comma there, yeah. Create a 1/1 blue fish creature token.
Great, tokens are back.
Wonderful. When you cast this spell, copy it.
That's a powerful line of text.
That is a powerful line of text.
So this spell just is it's 2 copies of the same spell.
Yeah. One of the cards that's very similar to this, well, it's not just 2, it's not like, Ancestor Recall, right? And it says like draw 6 cards. It's Ancestor Recall, putting another spell in the stack to cast Ancestor Recall again. So your opponent has to counter both of those to get them to stop. I think that's the big point of that ability. And it's similar to Incarnation Technique, where it has this cool ability where like if you let your opponent copy the spell, you get an extra copy. So if just casting that spell, your opponent can't actually counter the second copy unless he counters both of them.
Yeah, this is the type of like this also works with Magecraft. This is just Magecraft on an ability. So this would work twice with Magecraft triggers. Both the casting and the copy would both trigger Magecraft. So that's kind of cool with recent additions to standard. I think whatever this spell is, if it has any reasonable line of text, it's good. And I imagine that it might be something like, I think like a baseline for this is something like 2 in a blue, draw a card. When you cast a spell, copy it. So it's essentially divination, but it puts 2 spells on the stack. And then there's potential for things that care about spells on the stack. So I think that there might be cards that are like, if there are 3 spells on the stack, you can do something. Now they're not going to reference the stack, but
they would never do that.
I think it's similar to like what's that? Is it card that you can eat spells on the stack to put +1/+1 counters on it?
Oh God,
you know what I'm talking about?
Niv Magus Elemental.
Yes. So maybe there's something like that where if there's cheap cards that do this, right? Like if one of the mechanics is just whenever you cast a spell, copy it, and they care about incidental effects multiple times, that then all of a sudden that could be a really big role player as a 1-drop. And then you have a ton of spells in your deck that are really just 2 spells.
Yeah. All right. We have Wooburg tap sacrifice card name.
Yeah, it's going to be Wooburg tap sacrifice, like blow up the board.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's got to be a massive effect.
Something like that. Yeah. Win the game.
Yeah, I mean, one thing to keep in mind too is that in terms of legacy, the only decks that are really even close to being able to achieve hitting 5 colors, if any of this stuff is going to matter, is specifically something like Storm, which I don't think any of that stuff is going to matter. Yeah. Like any of the stuff where they're paying a ton of mana if it doesn't auto say win the game on it. The only other deck that could realistically do it are like the 4-color control decks that are just leaning into a 5th color, which you can do off an incidental splash off one of the Triomes, which some of them already do. So I think any of those types of effects where it's like Wooburg do something, the only reasonable people to be looking at that type of effect or those cards are 4-color, maybe 5-color control players.
Yeah. All right. Where X is the number of permanents you have sacrificed this turn.
That's what we're talking about. Permanents you sacrifice this turn. That's what so 13 black, number of permanents you've sacrificed this turn. This is Revolt, and you know what's really fucking good with Revolt? Fetch lands. This shit's gonna be broken.
Yeah. Could be good. Could be good. All right. Count the colors of the sacrificed creature.
That matters too. That could be interesting. That could be powerful. That could be interesting. All right. Powerful. Interesting.
Cast any number of copies without paying their mana cost. Cast
That's hot.
any number.
That's hot.
You may cast any number of the copies without. Without paying. That is a weird line of text.
You may cast any number of copies without paying their mana cost. It's going to be something where it says exile something from somewhere. You may then cast any number of copies without paying their mana cost. And my guess is that it's a card with a drawback. And every time you put it on the stack, it costs you some additional part of that drawback. So you can't just go in. It's like, oh man, I can literally put infinite on the stack. Well, not if everyone says lose 5 life. But
yeah, if it says like lose 5 life and your opponent takes 2 damage or something.
Yeah, it's like you can't be doing that. But any number of copies on the stack, boy, howdy do I want my Witherbloom apprentices at the ready.
Yeah.
I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna kill you with that.
Let's see here. Finally, here are some creature type lines in the set. Devil Warrior.
We've seen them before. Nothing special.
Raccoon Rogue.
Raccoons. Yo, how do you feel about raccoons?
I like raccoons. Yeah.
Yeah, you're into raccoons?
Yeah. Bird Assassin.
Yeah. Okay. There's a Maestro Assassins.
Yep. Bird Assassin. Plant Dinosaur.
So it's interesting to me that dinosaurs are on the streets of New Capenna because I guess dinosaurs are just evergreen now. It's not like they're like in the world of Magic, dinosaurs aren't like from a previous age.
So it might not like, okay, look, Plant Dinosaur, it's certainly not Denver the Dinosaur, but Denver the Dinosaur did exist in our time, right? So it's totally, he was basically a planeswalker. Am I wrong?
I mean, you think that's the creature that's going to show up in?
Oh no, I don't think Denver. I'm just saying. Argument for dinosaurs anywhere is that you could, time travel. All of that stuff. Exists. I mean, what's the difference between a chicken and a dinosaur now? It's just a little. It's incubation, really. That's all it is.
Wow, science with Zach Clark.
Treasure Dog.
Specifically, it's an artifact creature. So, hey, 8cast has been getting a lot of boosts recently.
Yep.
So Treasure Dog, I mean, pretty much it's going to be like what Gingerbread is, where it's also a food and has the food thing. Yeah. So I imagine Treasure Dog is going to be a creature that also just happens to be a treasure.
Oh no, that's what you don't want to do is sacrifice your dog for mana. Come on, guys.
For some reason, WotC has a real thing of like putting dogs in like really sad situations.
It's like this dog is sad because its owner left forever.
Yeah, it's like why are they always tugging at the heartstrings with dogs? We just want to see happy dogs, like
happy doggos, man. Yeah,
we want happy doggos, like the enchantment dog that draws a card. Like, of course, dogs draw cards. We love that.
Artifact creature, Angel Warrior.
Please give me something that is worthwhile. That's an angel. I need me some angels.
Okay. I didn't know you were an angel. You're an angel guy.
Bro, ever since I became the Entreat the Angels guy, I'm just like, I naturally have more of an affinity for angels now.
Fair enough. Legendary creature, Sphinx Demon. So this has got to be one of the lords, right? One of the.
I think the four things that we're seeing. So the next factions. 4 are legendary creatures, and I think it's all the guild leaders for each crime family.
So what do you think? Maestros, Sphinx Demon.
No. Sphinx Demon is definitively the Obscura.
Ostros, right? Yeah. Obscura.
Obscura, yeah.
Cat Citizen is the Naya one, right? He's
Cat Citizen's gonna be citizen.
He's like the Cat Citizen token, right? Like he's green and he's also white.
Well, right? we already know that the Charm makes citizen tokens, and the emblem for the Cabaretti is a cat.
Oh,
so
there you go.
Pretty clear cat that the cat is going to be.
It's just basically like a politician, right? Okay, Cephalid Advisor.
Cephalids, yo, call up Hackbert right now. Cephalid breakfast is back.
The breakfast.
Cephalid's back in Magic. We're dedicating this whole episode to Hackbert now because cephalids are back. So this is definitely going to be the leader to the brokers because it's a Cephalid Advisor. And the brokers needs a lead lawyer, and so
I don't see advisor being green at all, but I do see white and blue here for sure.
Yeah, the brokers, they're lawyers. They're trying to handle the stuff between the crime families. There's a cephalid advisor. It makes total sense.
The liaison. All right. Legendary creature, vampire demon noble.
This is the head of the Maestros.
Yeah, right. And you get all those colors in there. You get the red for the vampire, the black for the demon, and the blue for the noble. We'll go blue. Blue is
noble goes with all of them. We already know, like Gavin Verhey. So he's been doing on his Twitter every day. He's been talking about I guess they're not emblems, like what each like watermark for the family,
signet?
For each crime family.
Watermark.
He's going through. he's going through and introducing each of the crime families, like the head of each crime family. And so far, at the time of this recording, at least, he's already spoiled Maestros and he spoiled Obscura, and he's talked about each of them. So we know Obscura is a Sphinx demon. We know Maestros is a vampire demon. So those are pretty much locked in. The Cat Citizen, pretty much a gimme based on context clues. That is the Cabaretti. We'll find that out today as when he releases that. And then Cephalid Advisor, like the Cephalids got to be in blue. And one of the blue, or the other two blue tribes have already gotten their leaders. So it's got to be for the brokers.
Yeah. Yo, so total like aside, based on the discussion about Gavin Verhey, I was watching one of his Good Morning Magic things a couple days ago, and they were talking about how they had these soundtracks for the sets, and they put out the Kamigawa Neon Dynasty one. I'll pop the image over here. It's a square shaped like a record, right? So I was like, yo, I would definitely like. I'm a vinyl dude. I will buy that in a second, right? They don't offer it on vinyl. What is that all about?
Bro, you know, like the vinyl audience, just like we need to get more vinyl enthusiasts in the game.
I say all that to say this: the Streets of New Capenna one, the Neon Dynasty one sounds kind of bad. But the Streets of New Capenna one, like that's the kind of thing I'd like, you know, I put that on while I'm playing Magic with some friends in the house, having a cocktail, you know, like it sounds like it's like
while you're Cuban.
It's like my Italian restaurant in Magic the Gathering world. Dude, if you get anybody out there, if you get a chance to listen to the Streets of New Capenna one, what is the name of the song here? One with Phyrexia. It is
wow.
It's a fine song. I'm sure the guy who wrote the song did a great job, but it has like it's like a mixture of like butt rock meets Stan Bush. So it's like Nickelback and the Transformers soundtrack, like kind of put together just in this one song. I haven't listened to like the whole thing. I kind of stopped there, but I'm all about like them paying musicians to like create Magic content. That's so cool.
Speaking of Phyrexians, which Praetor do you think shows up in the streets? I
think in the streets, huh?
You have Urbrask, Shieldred, and Elishnorn left to go.
Man, I feel like Elishnorn's last, right? Elishnorn, I feel like is going to be like 4 sets from now.
I feel like Elishnorn has to be when we go back to New Phyrexia. Yeah. I think that's when we see Elish. So Urbrask or Shieldred, who you got?
I think Shieldred.
I think it's a slam dunk Shieldred, right?
Yeah.
It's got to be. It's crime families. Shieldred, and it's crime families about demons specifically.
Yeah, exactly.
Shieldred.
And it just feels, yeah. I feel like there's got to be a wilder plane for Urbrask, right?
Urbrask, I feel like would have made, like, will make sense in, yeah, like he gives
like he could have been in Ikoria, you know?
Yeah, I thought he would have made sense in like where Vorinclex showed up in Kaldheim, like because it's like fucking hard rock, yeah. Right? Like, but now that the next 2 sets are Dominaria and then Brothers War, I mean, we might not see Urbrask until 2023.
Who knows? It could be. Anyway. It could be any time.
Anyway,
all right.
Let me just say, like, I'm super hyped. I'm so fucking hyped for New Capenna. Like, I am absolutely Obscura. Let's go.
Yeah.
And I'm ready to get some angels.
Yeah. Speaking of hype, I want to thank all of our Patreon supporters. You guys, we just got a bunch of new supporters over the last couple of weeks, which is super awesome. We also sold like a bunch of T-shirts. Like
people want their fanny packs, man. Like people need their fanny packs.
Like a Boy Scout troop worth of T-shirts sold, fanny packs, mugs. Like whoever did that, amazing. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. That means more to me than even a Patreon support, because we can take that money directly and just put it into making the cast look and sound better.
We may not be the best role models, but if you are the leader of a Boy Scout troop, definitely get them Eternal Durdles fanny packs. They need fanny packs.
Yeah, dude, you need to get there with the fanny packs.
Yeah, we all need fanny packs. You need fanny packs to hold your dice.
Yeah,
right. I mean, how you're holding dice in your dice. You used to hold dice in your dice bag, Zach. Get out of here with your. Look at this jar of dice you have. You put that shit in a fanny pack.
I can't travel with this. It's crazy.
Put it in a fanny pack immediately. Boom. Get with the times, man.
And then you're off. Anyhow, yeah, like I said, thank you to everybody who has supported the cast recently. Anyhow, thank you everybody, and we'll see you next week. Have a good one.
Hey, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Check out this other video, and if you can, please support us on patreon.com.